from the highway and transportation both. If you look in your package, there's a list of topics I sent to Brad last week. And if we can get Ed or Brad to go down through them in order, there's a lot of topics there, there's a lot of things going on. So just to give you an update basically of where we are, and you can ask questions or whatever, all right? Ed, you don't need that one.
No, I gotta,
Is this the highway and transportation sheet that
Which one?
must,
I just got basically,
Oh, okay.
spreadsheets.
Oh, all right, all right. Here, let me take it. Go ahead, get started. You got one?
Yeah.
Are we wearing it?
You,
Why are we wearing it?
he's
Oh, you thought he was coming out. Thank you.
So as far as the sidewalk goes, we're just waiting on a resolution for the extra work that was done.
Is that in for today?
I believe,
Thank you.
I think
Yeah, I believe you put in, yes,
we want to increase the amount so that,
for the paving.
so we could, get the money transferred into it, into the account, and then we can finish paying it off and close it out.
That's it, we got that resolution today, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it in there.
Moving on to the garage fire, they've, the welding shop, interior, they painted the entire one side of the building inside. The asbestos abatement's been completed in the welding shop. The rehab has started in there. They're gonna start hanging drywall. Tools and equipment have been replaced. Chimney repair, we're waiting on,
I've got the roof,
what's that?
the roof.
The roof as far as the metal that was damaged. They're gonna take 3 pieces off the existing one side, put them on the other to match, and then we're going to, they're gonna replace the entire opposite side with new metal.
So the asbestos abatement, did they do the drain as well?
They haven't done the drain.
They haven't done the drain, so we've submitted that to the
Yeah,
insurance as
yeah,
well, okay.
Yeah, it's in between the two of them right now.
Yeah,
And the chimney repair for the leaking roof, that's in the building department's hands now. I believe they've been notified, they've been down to look at it.
Yeah.
All 3 chimneys leak.
Yeah, they're waiting for a PO through Lowe's, it's a new PO, I guess, and, Brad, you mentioned about some kind of, roof sealer or something to get.
They, my wife, they use it up at the jail, they have an old facility up there, and the guy said it works great, and so, to try something different, I said, let's try that, you can get it at Lowe's, so I believe Mike Gordon was in the process of trying to get.
I talked to Mike this morning, as soon as the PO from Lowe's is ready, he's gonna go get it, and he's gonna work with one of your guys, and take care of it, and get it fixed.
because we can't move forward with the insulation until that's fixed, right?
Right.
That's what I said.
We need to put plywood on the ceiling to replace where it's leaked before we can even spray the insulation up on there. And that's the next topic anyways, the grant. We're waiting documentation from the town of Westerlo. And once they get the grant, then they can go ahead and get a bid. The overhead doors, are we gonna have a capital project? If they want to, I guess they've been quoted before, and they're moving ahead with the capital project, and we can go ahead and get 3 more quotes on those.
Well, we have to establish, get the quotes and then ask for a resolution to
Right.
establish the capital project for those. But there's also, can we have a discussion, I believe there's some issues at the jail around doors as well. Am I correct on that? Does some-
There's 2 doors, right, Lindy, or something?
Yes, yeah, so I think we should
Exterior
look at that as, I don't, whether we do 2 capital projects or we, maybe we could get some better pricing if we put it together, so can we coordinate that a little bit?
Are we hiring the doors installed and done it? Already installed. The big ones.
Yeah.
The big main door, the main door.
Yeah.
Would it be better on the doors do the spraying and stuff first, and then put the doors in, or does it matter?
I think it'd be better to get the insulation up now,
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree.
rather than waiting on the doors.
but we should get it moving before, so we have them before winter.
And then also on capital project, I think you talked with Ricky Provost about taking out the sidewalks and paving them there.
Next year.
That would be next year, but would it be put in the same capital project and, yep,
But we'll do a, patch job on the sidewalks, the upward. Okay,
Just if we're gonna do the doors in jail, we need some kind of coordination between you and building and grounds. Make sure that we get it on all of that stuff.
Right. The pole barn is also, there's a correction submitted for that, so that's waiting on that grant. The additional office space, I believe, that's the extra office space. We wrote that question up, that was for the,
Yeah, he was like a portable structure, like, I think that you checked with,
well, that's for the temporary trailer.
temporary trailer.
That was around, yeah. I guess everything's signed for that, and, we're good to go with that.
Yeah.
And then we can start, looking at, getting the addition put on.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you were talking about addition.
Yeah, they're looking for something temporary and then a more permanent addition.
The addition is gonna be a bit of an issue at this stage, just because of the price of lumber.
Material.
It's down 60% up in the last 2 months, so we gotta wait for material to come down a little bit.
Yeah.
To be able to fit the grant.
I've heard from construction folks that joists have gone, say joist set for a house was $5,500, now it's $12,000.
If they're treated, it's kind of rare, so.
Yeah.
If you can get it.
Yeah.
if you can even get it, yeah.
In the line here, we're waiting on a resolution to piggyback for price, where we've got a list together of what we want to paint, obviously, everything that we paid this year, and then another list of stuff that needs to be touched up.
That's on we have a resolution for that also.
Yeah.
Back a little bit, what about your paving update? What have you done?
Well, that's next, yeah. We completed paving on 8, 17, 32, and 47. We did quite a lot of shim on 60, in between County Routes 31 and Onchayota. Pretty much corrected all the potholes and everything there, and that's in good shape for next year if we get the money to pave there. And 55, we've taken care of a lot of problems on there. For the remainder of the season, we're going to pave 3 miles on County Route 3, which we're there right now, they're paving today.
Where's that?
In between 8 and 4, you're going to Bombay.
It's like a
It's
water.
the road Timmy Smith lived on.
Oh, geez.
We're finally getting a road done before Bobby done.
I'm like him.
Yeah.
So the spots that work in the road now.
I'll take anybody on that road and tell me you can find a road in worse shape. That's the worst road in the county, right?
Bacon looks pretty bad.
Well, we're
I did that.
we're doing that one too, that one.
Put a speed bump in front of Timmy's house.
Yeah,
We'll stop like a half a mile.
yeah, we're gonna do, the remainder of County Route 6, that's about 1.5 miles, I believe. And, then 2 miles on 16, which is Bacon Road. We're gonna stay back from the bridge, obviously, because that's a future project. Then we're gonna do some shimming on 1, down in front of the school in Salmon River. 14, which is Red Tavern Road, is in real bad shape. 41, heading towards Titus from 30, the upper end. We're gonna get some shimming on that area up in there. Basically from the bridge in Chasm Falls up to the Little White Church, and then some miscellaneous spots in between there. We've cut shoulders on 3, 8, 17, 31, 32, and 60. Also done ditching and pipe cleaning. And we're planning on cutting shoulders on 55, 26, 14, and 27. If you know, as much as we can get done this year.
So I wanted to say thank you very much for the paving on County Route 47. It was really a great job. I was wondering if you had cleaned out and inspected the culverts on County Route 47?
They were inspected before we paved, yeah, Fred was up there last fall, and then we looked at them this year, and they're in good shape. You don't get a lot of flow there because they're basically equalizers. You've got swamp on one side and.
Swamp on one side,
You can't
swamp
get
on
in
the
there
other
to clean
side.
that out, so.
Okay, and the culverts on County Route 55, you were planning on?
We're working on them right now. We're not replacing any culverts on 55. This year, we're doing a stone ditch. Take care of a problem on the first sharp corner after the Shamrock, and that's gonna get the water away from the road. We're
Okay,
cutting shoulders down through there, and then we're gonna try, that's another area where those pipes are just basically equalizers too, so they stay full. You know, there's no way to chase the water out, you know, and that's what deteriorates the pipe so badly, but,
Yeah.
unless you can get in that swamp and clean it out, you can't get rid of the water.
So if you can give me a sense after they've been cleaned out of which ones have failed and which ones you think require replacing, I'd be appreciative of that.
17, that's a sample.
Yes,
Are you doing a bunch of them in the sample?
next year.
Okay, because where you stop?
Yep. Yeah, that transition right there, we're gonna go up there with the hot box and take care of that this year.
Little club there.
Yeah, yeah,
We got a list for the hot box, just as soon as.
Oh, that'd be perfect for the hot dog.
yeah, that's gonna be used a lot.
So as you're doing roads, you guys are checking culverts and you're ditching, like you're cleaning the ditches?
Cleaning ditches.
Thank you. You know, this has been an aggressive plan this year.
Really?
It's been a very impressive, you know, thank you. It's,
Yeah.
you see a change, you seeing a change by this push that we're putting for public
In the last
safety.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, between Ed and Brad having a team that are out there pushing these projects along, thank you very much.
Well, Brad
for
started last year, we're
Yeah.
finishing those up and then carrying on with the same roads that will, you know, we'll
We
move
know
up
that
till
the
we
whole
love it.
county had, all of our villages and towns and county roads, they're all in top shape and I
We're all
know,
fighting for roads.
we're all working to get our roads to what they should be, what we want them to be, and with more, the amount of traffic that we have. But, you know, maintaining the culverts and cleaning the ditches and cutting the shoulders, I mean, that's all work that's helping.
Saves the road.
Yeah, it does, so thank you very much.
I think that hot box will help you save some of the roads before they're totally gone.
Well, if you pick it right up to 25, we hotboxed all the way to the last paving section up in Chasm Falls, and it does a good job.
Yeah, we have the hot box in the village and
Yep.
they
Much coal
like
patch
that.
is
So,
Yeah, Coal Patch is,
a waste of money.
Yeah.
I know I'm not on that direct committee, but watching, you know, the updates and going on the roads that I know that you've been on, at least in my district and other districts, it's very noticeable.
It's very good.
There's about 15 roads listed here, 15, compared to what we used to do, because of the timing and stuff like that, that had some major, repair or maintenance done. That's really aggressive.
And we're still helping the towns if we're in that town and doing something for them too, I would think.
Good, thank you very much.
as far as
Sorry to get you off track.
no,
Yeah,
as far as the bridge update, Travis Road, the east side footer was poured. They've been setting the rebar, tying rebar and setting forms now. We should be pouring the first abutment next week. County Route 42, the Merritt Road, the concrete's pretty much done on the concrete part of the structure, and then they'll be waiting for steel. I believe they're gonna do some paving to try and get ahead of the weather before they actually get the bridge deck and everything poured. But, they'll come back and do the top in the spring. Now, the culverts on 3, I believe you're talking about in front of the old trucking, the old Maury Trucking. Is that-
No, that was one I mentioned here, like, but there was another one, Lyndon Green, I was talking to him, and he said that the county had replaced the culvert right past the Buell Road and County Route 3. It's just a stone throw up from Timmy, and Lyndon said that for some reason it's rotting out and starting to crush, and they paid that, I don't know, like, last year, year before. They said they don't mind, they'll go back over it after you replace the culvert, you know. But he says the culvert, you know, it's dangerous, because somebody's gonna.
Well, we went down, Brad and I went down right when we got the call and looked at it, and we patched it, and I've been down multiple times when I was in the area and checked it, and it hasn't gotten any worse, so what we're waiting on is Fred's crew, our other crew is up south right now working, when we get back down, we've got a few different pipes that we're gonna take a look at, but it's not caving in any more than it did.
Thank you for monitoring, because it brought to my attention, and all I need is pass it on to you.
When did you call this a month ago, was it?
Yeah, we were out on the bridge, I believe, anyway, so.
We were answering the show that there's, okay. Added it to the list.
Yeah.
After the tropical storm went through, we had 5 or 6 different spots where there was sinkholes in the road from so much rain. And so we've got a lot of pipes to still take a look at.
Well, and then the ones that were replaced maybe 5 years ago or so, I think, or maybe longer, well, a lot of those settled.
Yeah.
So a lot of, like, I know Kennew too has, the road isn't that bad, but where the culverts are, is bad.
Well, the key is to try and get your culvert pipes in the spring of the year. And I know for the traveling public, it's bumpy, you try to keep them as good as you can, but the traffic packs them down better than you can with any mechanical
Between the rain and the
compactor.
packing, yeah.
So if you can get your culverts in the spring and let the traffic beat them down, you get a better product at the end.
I think we had a lot of, I think we put a lot of the culverts in back then, they just all settled.
Yeah, which happens, like I say, if you have to pay, if you put a pipe in the fall and you pave right over it, chances are by spring, you know, even using a tamper and compaction, traffic's the best thing for it. And the culverts on 60, I believe that's basically what happened on those, is they were put in and then it was paved, and so they sank a little bit. And so we're gonna go up there with the hot box and try to do a decent patch on them. That's really all you can do, I mean, and that'll take the bump out of them.
So you'll be able to do that, you know, prior to winter,
We're gonna get to it as you know, in line.
Yep.
But your intent is before winter, before,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we plan on running the hot box, once we get done paving, and the paving crew is freed up, we plan on having that running just about every day, if we can,
cool,
you
yeah,
know.
Yeah, how about that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we got it for.
So, Ed, can you just talk about, Lake Colby and what you've done this week up there with the, culvert?
Yeah, we went up, we had a crew up there yesterday because we were working on 55 anyway, and, they went up and basically got down in the water and cleaned the brush out of there. And, there's not really a good way to even get a grate all in there to pick that grate. It's at a really bad spot.
Yeah,
It's not real accessible. And, so they cleaned it all out again and the water's running. It's, what we'd like to do is set up, is actually fabricate a bracket that will go on the head wall that we can just run up and, use a come along on it. Just bring a come along with us, then you can crank it up, because the guys can't pick it out of there without falling into the lake, you know?
It's really heavy, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's, the water levels are going
You
to
think about putting an arm like over it where you come
yeah,
on?
a bracket with a
You
hook.
got 2 guys out there, you got 2 guys up there, and they can pick it up with the come along,
Yeah, come along with it.
clean it, and flush it.
And then-
Have it drool.
So when do you think that'll be installed?
But right now, we're working on the bridge, that's
Yeah.
Tony, the fabricator's working on the
Yeah.
bridge, and, with the storm, the high water and everything, we got a little bit behind on that. We wanna get this concrete poured, and then he's got welding on the deck. We'll continue to monitor it, you know, go up and send guys up to clean it out, but this will be down the road, will be a better fix. We won't leave the come along there, obviously, we'll just, if somebody's up in that area, they bring it up there with them, they'll be able to crank it up, clean it out, and, it's just gonna be an ongoing, there's
So
no-
is
no
it
easy
like a
fix.
plan for next spring, or is it a plan before winter?
No, we'd like to get it done before winter,
Okay.
as soon as he's done welding on the bridge, but it's gonna be into November, you know?
He could take the measurements and fabricate over the winter, maybe by spring, we could have the whole operation running, or they could.
Well, as soon as possible.
Yep,
There's a lot of welding on the Trappers Road Bridge. line,
Yeah.
so.
So, good news, good.
And as far as the schedule, you were, everything else you were looking for was the hierarchy for the transportation department, and the bus schedule
Oh,
is all in there also.
I actually just threw up a structure of the employees as far as the transportation. So when there's jobs to be filled and stuff like that, or, you know, positions backfilled, we got some idea of what the positions are and where they are.
So there's a diagram of the structure. I believe I've covered everything else.
so the request on the transportation, is, you know, we've had a discussion, we had a budget meeting Tuesday morning, I think it was. And we talked about the transportation and the needs for staffing, and it was agreed that instead of backfilling the, program coordinator, that if we were able to increase the head bus driver, hours from 30 hours to 40 hours, that would most likely meet the needs. And we could move forward like that. Is that, did I understand that and remember that correctly?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so there is a request to, is there a request to backfill a head bus driver but increase the hours? Do we have that yet? And they have put that already in the 2021 budget, the increase of the 10 hours. So as we prepare our budget, it seems like a good plan to me. Do you have questions for Ed and Brad around that?
You never know till you try it.
Yeah, that's right.
Basically, we have a person that's pretty much doing the job part-time, and we'd like to move him into a full-time head bus position. And so that's what we're trying to move forward with at that point.
And then they would start taking care of the scheduling and different, components of the public transportation. Okay.
I don't know if the resolution came forward yet, because we just did the talk on Tuesday, but I'm sure we'll be working on it soon.
So that's right, because I do believe increasing the hours will require a resolution.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so next time, I mean, it's in a week, right? Next time is next week? Is
Yeah, next week's our next week.
that good?
Yeah, I'll let Ally know.
Okay, perfect.
Don,
Hey, I know you were there, Paul.
question for the guys up there. With the cutbacks that are looming and everything, the schedule for transportation, do you plan on re-examining that as cuts occur? Are you cutting, or are we gonna try and maintain, or what's the status?
We've already started cutting some hours because we don't have the ridership we did before. The coronavirus is definitely, you know, people are not getting on the bus. So we've cut about 62 hours out in the last couple of weeks. And we'll keep monitoring, evaluating as things keep moving forward as far as, if the riderships don't pick up and we're not picking the people up, then we'll have to reevaluate it as we move forward on these things, I believe. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
And one of the, portion of the handout was an update on the transportation schedule, so Penny can probably scan that and send it to you, or you guys can send it to Paul.
Thank you.
Do you have an idea of the completion of Traverse Road Bridge possibly?
For opening?
Yeah.
2023.
No, I'd say November, I said, I
Okay.
would say would be safe.
November, roughly, just to be safe?
First end of October, I would guess, would be both, but
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say November,
Weather.
just in case.
yeah, weather permitting, a week of rain, you can't weld in the rain, so,
Okay.
you know. and-
Just to give, there's a couple of people that have reached out that live on that road, and I'll just give them another update.
Well, we have to finish before the plant closes anyway, so that we can do our approaches, okay?
Okay.
And that usually closes in November, so like Brad said, you'd shoot for October.
Okay.
I was saying November just to be safe.
These are two small points on County Route 47. There was a family that has requested autism children's signs to be put up on either side of their house. Are we ordering those? and
We have our
installing
sign form
those?
looking at them right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are
so
you-
was it just traffic safety, didn't Dave Warner said there were some things that had to be done first, or?
They already did it.
Oh, they did that, okay.
Oh, do you
we
have a
have to have the
confirmed
address.
sign for autistic children?
There has to be,
We have to have an address.
I gave the address,
We
and
gotta
we,
know the age, because after they turn 18, they have to pull the sign down.
right, so I think they're, I think 8 and 11.
We gotta
Because
know.
I have an
We have to have-
inquiry for the Village of Malone. I just got it, Friday.
They should be able to help you out with that information.
DOT just passed a law like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, to allow an autistic sign up. It's not mandatory, but you can do it.
Okay.
But
they
you
were
gotta know
part
that.
of that, they weren't official, I
They
guess.
are, we don't have to put them up, it's, you can request them. My understanding is, we gotta have a distance, we gotta find out what the distance is back from the house, and then relate to the speed zones and everything. There's quite a few regulations when you set these signs, and then we gotta know the age, because we gotta have some kind of a reminder when that kid turns 18, the signs have to come
Or they
down,
move.
because the county will be liable if another kid gets hit or anything in that area within signs up. Because it's an additional liability to it. From what I'm understanding, we're doing more research on it now. We'll have more answers as we move forward.
Okay. When you do, if you share, you know, instead of us reinventing the wheel,
Yeah, no,
tag
it's a
them.
whole new thing that DOT just passed autistic children be aware of.
So what I'm hearing is you'd like me to find out their age, confirm that they're 8 and 11, and that, I'll resend the address to you.
I think more than their age, they're DOBs.
Date of births?
Is that what you need?
Yeah, I need to know when they turn 18, that way I have
Yeah.
the time frame. Some way we have to know to pull that sign down after they turn 18, because my understanding is if we leave it up past that point, we accept the liability that it's not ours.
All right, then, thank you. And then, also on County Route 47, the resolution of that stop sign down by Trudeau Road.
Yeah, we're looking at that, sign form is looking at that right now. We'll put up,
Okay,
2 signs.
Okay.
And take the one out of the door area in the middle.
and if they're looking at signs, on, Forest Home Road at the intersection of McMaster Road, the signs there are twisted and shot up and rusted and in pretty sad shape.
I
So
believe you just put a new stop sign up there.
it's not the stop sign, it's the road signs.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The direction signs.
Okay, all right, I'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
That's the road there, fairly new road.
It'd be easier if we sent you an email with some of this stuff, that way you don't have to do.
It would be, that way you can look into it, you know.
Just to get ahead of it. And any sign we put up like that, we have.
Can you shoot them an email, Wendy, on your topics?
I just think it's easier, that way he's got, sometimes we
got
throw so much stuff out from here.
But yeah, it's no big deal.
I like to
It
agree.
gives you a better answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take a picture.
That would help too.
Yeah,
Every time I try to look at my emails, it just comes up.
then you know what to bring to replace.
Right.
One other topic that's ongoing, let's see if I can send it to you, guys. Do the snow and ice contract. Brad, where are we as far as snow and ice contract as far as?
We met with the towns, and I sent an email to Donna and. What's the- Donnie, were you in on that email? Oh,
Yeah, Donna sent it to me, but I was.
just kind of told them what they're asking for, and then Donna responded, said that, there'd be further talks with the towns as we try to move forward and reach an agreement with them.
So you're in discussions with that, and, maybe at some point when we're in executive session, we can give Brad and Ed some guidance around, because it's negotiations. Just where we can go with the contract.
There's so much uncertainty right now. It's budget stuff, it's hard,
We did stress that to the towns.
Yeah.
They have their issues too.
Everybody does.
Yeah. We're all
All
in
in
the
the same
world.
boat.
It's a brave new world we're in.
So one of the things, I think that got brought up was around our paver, the paver again, right? That was bought, I don't know, 2007, 2008.
Sure.
And, you know, and when I had reviewed those documents, it looked like that, the obligation was technically done, by 2012. And I don't think the county ever looked at it in a way that, you know, I mean, Franklin County is Franklin County, whether it's village, towns, and county, right? So we look at it as a whole, and what can we do as a whole? But that's just seems to be a continuous, conversation, that some folks get passionate about. And I know we continue to, pay, town roads specifically from 2012 to 17, first versus the county, but it got to the point that we had to make a decision to sort of flip that for 18, was it 18 or 19 anyhow? 19 and 20, so actually 2012 through 2018, we needed to flip that a little bit so we could put more emphasis on county roads. As we can tell, we've made a lot of progress in the last 2 years. It didn't mean if we were in that area, we weren't going to help towns, and to use the paver and stuff. So, John, maybe if you could look at that whole, grant, from start to finish and put some clarity around that, something we could circulate. And, you know, we wanna be positive, we wanna do shared services, we wanna make sure we can do what we can do, but we also have to maintain the county roads at the same time. So, John, would you be willing to take a look at all of that?
It'd be good if we had a list of all the repairs, what it costs a year to keep that blacktopper going.
Yeah, and those kinds of things, and then truly moving forward, as we develop our road plan for 2021, if those conversations with the towns, and the villages that participate, if we can have those conversations and in the best laid out plan, which never really works, that they'll know when we're in a certain area, so that we're not doing the mobilization of our equipment all the time. So that just communication's a wonderful thing, to try to work together on all of our county roads, not just county-owned roads.
Happy to look at that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The only thing I have is, I don't know if it's building grounds or if it's as far as putting something around the courthouse.
Yeah,
Fence or barrier or something.
There's signs up already.
No, I know, but it's hard to tell where the lines are. Could you survey that and just tell us where the lines are?
I think that's gotta be a priority because of the situation right there. That situation right there is, probably should be discussed in executive session. There's a situation there that we gotta protect ourselves as a county.
You want to go into executive session, Paul, to discuss the possible, sale, lease, transfer of real property?
Yeah, we just need a motion. And a
It
second.
would take us about 5-10 minutes probably, right? When's the next session?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss.
The sale, transfer, or lease of real property.
I guess second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay?
So when should EJ join back in?
I got it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
About
10:05 EJ? I don't think EJ
He
has.
doesn't
a
have
microphone.
volume, he usually chats on the side for you.
Yeah. He can hear us, I don't know if he can, talk.
Just leave that.
Okay, so I'll read the legal notice.
Please.
Legal notice, county legislative body notice a public hearing on 8th-year review of Franklin County Agriculture District. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the county legislature of the county of Franklin, state of New York, on Thursday, August 27th, 2020 at 10 a.m. in the legislative chambers, 4th floor, Courthouse, Lowell, New York. Consider the recommendation of the Franklin County Agriculture and Farmland Protective Board in any proposed modification of the district. A description and map of the district, proposed modifications, and recommendations of the Franklin County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board may be examined in the Franklin County Soil and Water Office during business hours. All interested parties and citizens will be heard by the county legislature at the public hearing, or if anyone cannot attend the hearing, written comments can be submitted to the office of the clerk of the Franklin County Legislature prior to August 27, 2020. Penny A. Primo, Clerk, Franklin County Legislature dated August 13, 2020. And I received no comments.
Okay. Is there anything you want to just go over before?
Sure. So, like Penny said, it's an 8-year review, so it's a little bit different than our every year opt-in. This is the 1 year, every 8 years that people can opt out. So it's a little bit more work. We send letters to everyone who's in the ag district, so that's over 1,500 parcels. We send them an application to add more, to leave it the same, or to opt out. Of those, we received 3 parcels back to opt out, totaling 78.17 acres. We received 52 parcels with 27 landowners to opt in, which was 1,874 acres, 0.36. At this time, we have about 10% of the county land in ag district. Now that compares to the census data, the census data puts the ag land at 22%. So we're about halfway there with the land that's considered agriculture in the ag district. The benefit for being in the ag district is protection. If there's ever an issue with a landowner, if you are in the ag district and it's a issue that is expected of agriculture, New York State Ag and Markets will come in and assist you with that concern or complaint. We have had that happen, not in the county, but close by, and it has worked out great. And there's been, it benefited the farmer, so that's a great opportunity. As a side note to ag district, there's the ag assessment, and that's the reduction in taxes. It's actually not a reduction, it's a qualification of the soil for its productivity. So you pay for how productive your soils are. And so it's done with a soil group worksheet, and it's a pretty interesting process. So, so this year we are adding 1,874.36 acres in, removing 78.17 acres in. Right now we have, that will give us a total for 2020 of 118,162.5 acres in the county, in ag district.
Oh, that's a good chunk of property.
Yep. So if you have any questions for us, we'll take them.
Well, just looking at your strengths and weaknesses,
Yes.
Just so you know, that's something completely different.
oh, okay.
It's not for ag district. And I can go over that in a second.
Oh, okay, so we finish up, if somebody has any questions, we'll just talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have any direct question on it, I just think it's a good thing that you're showing us that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get a lot of questions, and usually we don't get a lot of questions on the ag.
We don't, but it's the process, and it's an opportunity for us to, show you what we've got in the county. And we, honestly, we take ag district applications all the time. I already have some for next year. When we're talking to farmers and they come into the office, we always check. Are you in the ag district? No. Hey, let's sign you up and get you in the ag district. And we're always doing ag assessments or soil group worksheets for assessors and landowners. So we take advantage of that and do it all at the same time. So it's a constant thing of something that we're doing all the time. It's a great opportunity for us and for landowners. It is very confusing. Ag district and ag assessment is very confusing. We spend a lot of time, because of this being an opt-out year and all the letters going out, I can't tell you the number of phone calls we received as to whether you should stay in or not stay in, what's the advantages, why am I getting this letter, I'm not a farmer, and, it's very interesting to have that conversation. I mean, we probably have at least 5 to 10 calls a day, at least.
Well, we tried to get ahead of those phone calls. We were gonna host a ag district ag assessment workshop in April, but due to everything with COVID, we had to cancel that, unfortunately. So a lot of those questions could have been addressed in that workshop. We've done them before, and we usually get the same people coming to them, but it being an opt-out year, we may have had more people show up. But it is what it is. I guess you gotta go with the flow.
What was the main reason for people opting out?
The 75 acre parcel is all wooded and they're from out of the area. It came in really late, so I couldn't give them a call to find out. The other 2 pieces were just over an acre and there's residential property. And so they just chose to. So over the years, parcels get, broken up and whatnot. And so a lot of it ends up being that. A couple of years ago, well, when we did the last opt-out, a lot of them, we took the cemeteries out, sorry to say. But they had, when a parcel's in, it's in. Doesn't matter how much you break it up, it stays with that.
They expanded the graveyards or whatever.
Yes, and so, a lot of times we don't have a lot of opt-outs. And a lot of people called and said, well, I'm not a farmer, I need to take it out. And so I would call them and say, okay, listen, why would you take it out? Well, we have this farmer cut the land, but we don't do it ourselves. Keep it in, you're still protecting that landowner. And so that was a lot of the education we took that opportunity to do. So it was really interesting. And we also had an opportunity to talk to a lot of assessors too. Because once they start hearing that they go out, the landowners will call the assessor too and say, why is my land classified as agriculture? Well, that's not the same thing, but a lot of people just don't know that.
Right.
So
So you get a lot of Amish that are signed up for the program there also?
That's where a lot of our Amish and Mennonite foot traffic comes from, is ag assessment and ag district. And then while they're there, we take the opportunity to tell them the programs that we have. Due to it being kind of like a government program, they're not really interested, but a lot more have really taken interest in our forest management program, whether it be because they want to know what's in their land and maybe change up their management skills to help their forest in the future with just cutting for firewood, or maybe they're going to start grazing and wanted those types of recommendations. But we're getting more and more of that plain sect community into our office, which is really nice to then talk to them about a bunch of different things. Right now it's just communication, and hopefully someday it can turn into something more, writing more plans for that community and whatnot. We do have a seat open on our board, and we reached out to the plain sect community, and we had some Mennonites that were interested in not being on the board, but create a collaborative in their community of a bunch of different speakers for the community to come in and try to communicate with us what we can better do to serve them. Then, of course, the pandemic hit, and we haven't really had a chance to reach back out to them, but it would be really nice for our office to get something like that, so we can reach out to more communities in the county.
So do you have a active relationship with the Amish
Yeah.
Mennonite communities?
As active as it can be, I guess.
So
2 years ago is when we started actively going to the produce auction and reaching out for water sampling, and that started it. Then last year, I didn't have as much time to go to the produce auction. I was out on field visits a lot, so those kind of dwindled, but more people were still coming into the office for ag district, ag assessment, water sampling, now soil sampling, which is really nice. But then this year with the pandemic, I haven't interacted with that community
in a couple of months.
So the reason I'm asking is for a completely different reason. Legislator Ellis probably knows where I'm going with this, but on our traffic safety board level, we had a gentleman, who has served us for many years, Ron Felix, and he was our Amish liaison. He had a good relationship with them, and so sometimes you can only imagine with around traffic safety, that's a really important conversation to have sometimes with them, like, you know, are you willing to put reflective tapes on your buggies and things like that? So, you know, we're canvassing different agencies who might have a positive relationship with the Amish community and know them well. So maybe that's another discussion we can have to move forward on for traffic safety.
We have a positive relationship. Is it to that level yet?
Can you think
I
about
don't
it?
think
Yeah.
it is, but I know we work closely with a gentleman who's very close in that community who maybe we could liaise.
Oh, yeah, something, so we're really, as we look
Get
at
it
filling
going.
that position, we're really interested in making sure that we have that person who really can have those good conversations.
Yeah, one other thing that Alicia has done is done a Plains, we call it our Plains Sac newsletter. And so she does a special newsletter that just goes to them via mail. And that might be a little bit of an opportunity to put some of that information in
They've
there.
reached out and said they don't really, sounds awful, they don't really need to know what we're doing. They don't really, like, we'll put in little blurbs, oh, we had this workshop and this many
Right.
people came, and they're just like, well, we're not that interested. But if you could take the informational aspect of those workshops and put them
So they
in there,
can
they're
read
really
up on
interested.
it for education.
Right.
So I mean, writing a little article about the traffic safety might be a really good way because.
Yeah, because we'll provide the reflective tape.
And I think there is.
And we'll make
some-
sure
They
it's
don't want
flat.
nobody hurt either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
Depends on what community you're also talking about.
Right.
too.
Absolutely.
Otherwise-
The Amish community.
yeah, it does depend.
yes. But yeah, that is a, you know, that is an opportunity, you know, that we might be able to utilize. And if our office is a location to pick it up,
Yep,
to stop, you know, then they don't have to try and get here and there or something like that. Because we do, a lot of them even ride the county buses in,
yep,
you know,
Yeah.
get dropped off, we call the bus and they come back and pick them up, so.
Well, like the Bombay area, Bombay and Fort County area, most of them are, they have the reflectors and lights and the whole works, but you get over the other side of Warren, and you don't see them until you're, especially at night.
Yes. But no, that's an opportunity.
okay, and we're WebExing the meetings right now, so I'll make sure that, Chad, you're on
Okay.
that list, and
We'll make sure.
you can, I'll join in if you want.
Excellent. Okay.
Well, it's, hey, you know, every little step you've gotta, you know, Alicia's worked really hard to get that relationship going and, you know, it's always been a challenge for sure.
They don't like to be pushed.
No,
No, it's right.
Nice and easy with it.
yeah, well, and you just give them the information. Don't-
That's right.
Just give
I
it to
think they're a little
them.
more liberal around here than.
They can, some are,
Some
yeah,
are,
for sure.
yeah.
And I think if we could have that collaborative, who maybe is not on our board, but sits in on our board meetings and then can relay the message, that might also make our relationship with them even more positive than it is now.
Comes more of their own, I think.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what I handed out to you guys this,
Yes.
on August 12th, we had 2 meetings to talk about our AEM strategy. It's our ag strategy. We use it when grant writing, we use it to really scope our program and where we want to go with it in the next 5 years. It's updated every 5 years. I put together data of the last 5 years. That's in this PowerPoint packet. The notes here, because some of our farmers couldn't come but still wanted to be in on this, I wrote literally everything I said in the meeting. So this can kind of get a little lengthy. The numbers go with the PowerPoint slide. So like number 1 is the first slide, 2, you know, you get it. So then you can kind of see, because these aren't wordy, this is quite wordy. So then you can see where I'm going with that. In that meeting, people were wondering, on page of the PowerPoint slide, on the third page, it has a lot of AEM needed BMPs. Those are, practices that farmers do on the farm that they've had a concern, voice their concern with it. We've seen it as a concern with resources. That corresponds with this numbered page that conveniently got cut off in the copy machine. So it goes, barnyards, pasture management, manure management, soil management, petroleum, and floodplains, and then it goes by watershed. So it's the Salmon River, the Little Salmon, the Trout River. I don't know the next one, the Chattagay.
Village of Chattagay.
Yep, and then it goes on, and you can see how many farms or how the need for, our conservation plans written in those watersheds, so that those little dots can make more sense to you guys. And then the groups that were at the meeting, we had a discussion about what we think our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within Franklin County are, and those are on that separate sheet. I put a poll together of everyone who attended the meeting, and we will be having a Zoom meeting to discuss whether or not we should prioritize our watersheds differently based on the needs of those practices and the sheet that I was just talking about. If any of you would like to join in on that Zoom call, I can let you know. It's probably going to happen on September 22nd, but if those numbers change based on the Google poll I did, I can let you know. But just email me or call the office and I can add you to that email. So we'll be discussing whether or not we should reprioritize our watersheds to help try to get grant funding to various farmers in those different watersheds. And we can discuss strengths and weaknesses more at that time. So what I'm talking about when I say reprioritize watersheds is we have lakes and streams and ponds that have made it onto the DEC priority watershed list, which means it's threatened, it already has problems, and that if you're near that, it helps justify why you need funding on your farm. There are a lot of places, especially in the southern end, where we don't have that type of data. So it's harder to justify getting money for those farms down there. And Franklin County, to be completely honest, doesn't get a lot of state funding because our water in the state's eyes is so clean. But in all honesty, we don't know that. A lot of our streams and rivers are unassessed, which means year to year, we don't know if there's a problem, and we can't assess that. So reprioritizing our watersheds helps us get the money for those farmers. It helps justify projects, why it's needed in this area. And our office is hoping to do more sampling of wells. You'll see that in the PowerPoint in agricultural areas. And with more farms popping up in the southern area, we really want to hit that up. And we want to take advantage of the farms popping up in the southern area to really grasp a whole county data-wise, not just keep everything in the northern part of the county and justify everything just because of the northern end. But you can take a look at this if you want. You don't have to if you want. It's not going to offend me either way because I won't know. If you want to be on the call, that's great. If you don't, that's great.
So a question. On slide 27, you say there are 2 threatened watershed areas. And I was wondering and in your notes, you talk about the usage in those water bodies is what makes you think that they are in a threatened aspect. So could you tell us more about that?
That's all from the DEC, the DEC database has, I don't know how to do that.
It's the priority water bodies list.
Uh-huh.
So New York State DEC evaluates every watershed, large watershed, every 3 years. And so they've identified those upper watersheds as the most threatened because they have the most population. They have the most outsources for water, so water treatment plants, that kind of usage, not necessarily recreational usage. It's more industrial, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Is it salt contamination?
Not salt is a newer concern that DEC is beginning to address.
Okay, so it's
So-
not factored in.
It is, but not to the exemption, not to the extent it needs to be.
Okay.
Because that is becoming a larger issue in some of the watersheds. The one in Lake Colby is Saranac, it's the Saranac Lake watershed, so, Saranac River watershed, I'm sorry. And so it actually isn't as much in this county, a little bit, but it heads more into Clinton. So for us, as the headwaters, it's still considered pretty clean. The salt is an issue, but it's something they're just starting to add into that
So
incorporation.
number of homes, residential
It's-
homes and
Well, it's more industrial, so,
industrial.
and it's not, so what DEC does is they evaluate the water bodies based on health. So they go in and they sample invertebrates, fish, temperatures, dissolved oxygen, chemicals, then they factor in usage. So it's not always homes, it's more cities, outfalls, so water treatment plants, facilities taking water in and with Speedy's permit, so releasing it back out. So that happens more in that northern part of the county where we have more industry along the water bodies. So there's a lot of factors to it, yeah.
One thing I do want to point out is on the presentation slides, the AEM participation map. Our AEM numbers in the last 5 years have gone up 66%.
What slide number is that?
17, I was just gonna ask you that, because I was looking at it and I'm like,
Yeah, our
Okay.
AEM numbers have gone up 66% in the last 5 years, and right now, we are maxing out the amount of money we can ask from the state. And now with forestry being a huge interest with so many people and getting that interest, with our Southern End participation, our outreach is over the amount we're technically allowed to ask for, and we are kicking butt in the ag program. And the 2010-2015 map, it doesn't show a lot of participation south of Dickinson, but within the last 5 years, we've almost doubled the number of participation in the southern end. And I'm really hoping that that trend continues with more and more farms popping up in the southern end to feed their own families, to start CSAs, farmers markets, things like that. And we've talked to tribal members and different farmers in the southern end about how we can reach out to those communities more. So hopefully in the next 5 years, you'll see those numbers increase even more.
Yeah, it looks like a small number, but if you double, you double what it was.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see what people are doing too. There's a lot of diversity, which is I think a lot of people think a farm is cows, and it is.
That's what everybody used to think.
Yeah, but there's so much more that, farmers are diversifying, Michelle can tell you, they're adding, cows and pigs, or beef and dairy, maple and dairy, so there's, some really interesting things
Just
people
in the
are
last year, look at the farmers are selling meat.
Absolutely.
It's come a long ways.
But
Or
if you
the
guys
apple
have
orchards are open.
any questions about that, I am more than happy to answer them. And like I said, we will be having a Zoom call. So it'll be at night, at 4 o'clock at night, and then it shouldn't last longer than an hour.
add us to it, and if our schedule is available, I don't mind jumping on just to listen, because it's always, one, very informative, and two, very interesting when you do your presentations.
Thanks.
No, but it's information that we need to.
Maybe someday we can start doing road tours again and seeing some of the things that are really happening, because there's nothing better than being right on site, seeing what's going on.
Walking through it.
And we've got some pretty big projects, as much as it seems like there's not a ton going on. We actually have, we've put in 3 manure storages in the last 2 years, and 1 is under construction right now, and it's months, it's,
I've
you
seen
know.
Where's that one? Is that
Chattagay.
Chattagay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is huge.
it's a satellite pit at that.
There's one in Bombay too, isn't it? That's still under
Well,
construction.
he's gonna be, the one we're funding is on the farm,
Oh.
that's he's doing
That's a
independent.
sub, yes, that too, right?
Well, it's easier for that side of the river
Oh,
for
I see.
that land production to be on that side.
Yeah.
And then we're putting in an additional right at the farm too, so he's got state funding for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the one he's actually doing now, he does not have state funding for, he's doing it all independent. Mhm.
And a lot more farmers are doing that now, because they're worried that with COVID
No,
and everything.
he's right there, right by 95, where
From the state, I mean,
Bio-
from the state
bio-
federal grants, let alone the local.
I talked to a guy from Simmons County one time, they told me he had a farm and that he processed his manure
Mhm.
and sold it because he could buy fertilizer. He actually made money on it because he could buy fertilizer cheaper than he could do the manure.
So some of them are doing sand separating now, it depends, sand is a.
Oh, they started sand and everything now.
Yes, and that adds a whole new element to a manure storage and the amount of separation that you need to do or processing, and so, yes, possibly. Most farmers try to keep it on because it's free.
Yeah.
Per se, I mean, yes, you do need to move it, but it's free.
Yeah.
Don,
Go ahead.
Don, can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
I always ask this every time I see you. How do I answer people who ask me, what effect does this have on the overall tax rate for the county? Because it's a different taxing structure, correct?
It's a cap, and it's based on the productivity of the soil. And the state rates do go up every year. So, a producer's taxes will continue to rise, just like any landowner. What it does is it puts the value on the land, so it's not necessarily a break, but it actually gets it productivity. Could it put some of the tax burden on the rest of the town? Potentially, but however, if the assessor is doing, at 100% and they're following all of the state rates, it doesn't really, put the tax burden on the rest, it just equalizes it
Okay.
a little.
I love to ask you that question every year.
I know, and every year I try to add a little something else in, you know?
Hey, Chaz, I didn't write down the number of acres you mentioned.
So the total numbers we're putting in is 1,874.36 acres.
Then that brings us to what?
That brings us to 118,162.5.
Thank you.
And we're opting 78.17 out.
Yep, thank you. In case somebody asks me how many
Yep,
we
I
have,
can
I
even
can
leave
say
you guys my
168,000.
random purple piece of paper with all my little facts and figures on that.
We're running a little bit behind, but is there anything you'd like to say before you leave, or anybody have anything else they'd like to say to them?
I just like to thank them because I know it's a lot of work that
Yeah,
you
it
guys put into this
Thank
and
you.
help us out. Thank you.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, we like it. So.
And also, I think Jeanette's staff does the front of the.
They help us making sure we get everybody, and we've tried to take some of the burden off from them too, and
Yeah,
just, yeah.
It's a lot of work. I just want to thank you guys.
especially right now.
We got it, we got it.
So I'm gonna call the public hearing to an end, and, we'll do Andrea.
Nice job once again, ladies.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you for keeping it.
Thank you, ladies.
No.
Yeah, no problem. You know, we try.
You should get married, Jeff? September 19th.
Congratulations.
I watched for it. I should have known.
Thank you guys.
Enjoy the day.
Yeah, no problem. Don't ever hesitate, we are open. The office is open, so the USDA is not, but we are, so don't hesitate to stop in and say hi. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Wow. Yep, good luck, have a good day.
Congratulations, have fun.
I'm excited. Not much. Work, more work. I know, it's cold out, right?
Quick it goes through, changes like, boom.
Yes, like that. Then come back, we'll get more.
Yeah, there it is, I don't know.
Looking for a part-time job?
What's going on with you? Yeah.
So we're doing Healthy Heart Network now?
Yeah, we're ready, yeah.
She is on the plan.
Oh, she's on the screen, she's
Yeah.
not here.
Oh,
Okay,
she's not here.
I thought she was coming in.
Okay, hopefully I'll be up. She's on the, I don't think anybody's not there.
Friends out there.
Frank can come.
She can come in and listen, I mean, it's,
I'll get her, I'm up. Come on in. Now you're, I didn't work on that.
You said, yeah.
I'm running a little behind.
No, doing that, no, they had a couple of meetings in town, but,
Sit anywhere?
thank you, Andrea, for coming on, we're, are you there, Andrea?
Hi, Dawn. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I would have rather.
Bye.
Good morning.
Good morning. So my computer is a little glitchy, so it freezes me. So if I freeze with a funny face, I apologize.
We can't see you, so could you turn your camera on, please?
My camera is on.
I see you. I see her.
Can.
You can see her?
Yes,
can
I
you
can.
On the right hand and left hand corner, she's up there.
No.
Oh,
I see her.
you're closer to her than we are, that's why.
I'm just gonna join.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm just curious, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Now we can.
I can, yeah.
So you're able to see the PowerPoint?
I can.
Okay, Paul. Thank you. So,
Yeah, we can.
all set? Okay, good morning. Thank you all for the opportunity to present the collaborative work we've been blessed to do in Franklin County over the past 5 years. I certainly have been fortunate to get to know many of you personally, to work closely with you on the projects that we've been funded by the Department of Health to implement.
Sorry,
We're getting an echo.
it was me.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Keep going.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. So I think many of you are aware that the Heart Network's been working in most of your communities for the past 2 decades, designing, planning, and implementing strategies to reduce chronic disease by increasing access to nutritious foods and physical activities in a variety of settings. So the New York State Department of Health started about 15 years ago with the Eat Well, Play Hard. Many of you may have been familiar with that, and moved into creating healthy communities in 2010 to 15. And 2015 to 2020, they added the school component, which personally I feel added a much more well-rounded approach to working with the community school collaboration. So the purpose of the Department of Health grant continue to support the implementation of initiatives and programs and policies that target chronic disease reduction. We currently have 85 high need school districts that are doing the similar kind of work around the state. So all of our deliverables, I guess I covered that. So the school coordinator, many of you worked with Kat Haney, and her work focused on revising school wellness policies to improve the school environment while helping districts to meet regulated nutrition standards for food sold in the school outside of meals served. She also worked to establish the physical activity programs so there would be consistency throughout the state. Am I the one who's making that feedback? Are you guys hearing that feedback?
No.
No.
Oh, good. All right, well, good. So, the community-based programs, which was my focus, was focused on increased access to healthy foods and small retail, and many of you are familiar with the FitPix initiatives. We were in work sites, hospitals, and municipalities. And we were also passing healthy meeting and healthy vending policies, which offered choices and helped to build a culture of wellness in the workplace. So the community aspect also focused on increasing access for all users. And this was mainly done through the complete street strategies, plans, and policies. So the social determinants of health, I know that you hear Katie talk about this a lot, but I think we can all agree that at some point in our life, we may have just said, you know, people should just be responsible for their own behavior. They can make their own smart choices, but actually, we all can, but certainly decision makers like yourselves around the state have been helping individuals to reduce their risk of developing chronic disease by building environments that support and encourage healthy eating and daily physical activity. And you know, you have your walking trails at the rec parks and the Tiwatahita walking trail. There are certainly many opportunities in your communities to shape and impact health. So without relationships, most of this work is not going to happen, at least not easily. I've been very fortunate over the past several years to see lasting relationships formed. So I provided you with handouts, and those handouts, I think Penny probably printed them for you. So those handouts are specific to examples of the school districts and the communities that we've had the good fortune in partnering with. These communities are Fort Covington, Hogansburg, Malone, Moira, and the town of Waverly. We were able to expand into Saranac Lake and Tupper Lake in year 4 last year, and that was basically due to the expansion of the mobile farmers market. And but the grant region was that northern region. So our facilitated activities focus on planning for community growth. These activities have been well attended and supported by you, decision makers, and community members alike. The collaborative efforts that are taking place and have taken place are energizing, motivating, and have provided communities with plans that help open discussions as well as open funding opportunities. So the School Community Collaborative Spotlights, collaboration has spotlighted the great work that parents and educators and community members are doing to involve youth in the community activities. And I think many of you attended these different events, and their energy is just absolutely contagious. Their enthusiasm about their communities is just amazing. So this is just a real short and sweet, down and dirty presentation. We really don't know the future of the Department of Health funding, nor do we know the future of the state funding really at this time. But our hope is to continue working with existing as well as new partners to continue to build healthy, vibrant communities. And with that is all I have for you. Any questions?
I'd just like to say I do appreciate what you do for the local communities, because some of this stuff would never get done without your support and you pushing it behind it. It makes a big difference.
Well, you have all been super involved in everything that's taken place, and we can't do our work without all of you supporting it, without the municipalities, without the partners, and hopefully we can continue.
Once you get started, you don't let us get out, so.
In a very kind way.
just joking, I don't mind that one.
You can't tell her no.
Persistent,
Yeah.
which is good.
And thank you for the sheets on some of the things you've done, and I know that there's probably more going on behind the scenes that never makes the paper. It's just done automatically now.
Andrea, is there a new, is Kat still the school liaison, or is there someone different?
Kat is no longer with us, and this presentation is because we are at the end of this grant. And we don't know, we have applied for a 2020 to 25, and we do not know yet if there will be funding to continue this work. So if there is, then we will hire for that position.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a lot of uncertainty going forward because of all that's going on.
Yeah.
There certainly is.
Yeah, we feel the same pain, so.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you all for this opportunity. And if I will offer to the different municipalities to present to their town and village boards. If any of you would like that in your communities, let me know. But I will.
The Palm Bay area was talking about doing a walking path, and they want to look at a crosswalk and stuff. Would there be any way that you could work with them at all, or does it have to be somebody that's already in the program?
Where is that, Don?
The town of Bombay. Chris Job.
The town of Bombay. I think I reached out. I think was that Chris?
Yes, Chris, yeah.
Yeah, I actually spoke with Chris a while back. So yeah, we've been in contact. And I'll continue to be in contact with him.
Okay, I think he'd like to talk to you about some things he wants to do, and whether there's grant money or not, you might want to still do them, I'm not sure.
Okay, great.
Andre, I'll refer an email back to you for next week if we can get together.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
I always look forward to seeing you too.
Thanks.
Anybody got anything else for Andrew? Thank you very much for coming on virtually, and we appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully I'll see you all in person soon. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon.
Okay, longest friends right here, we might just well.
They're not friends.
Okay, so there have been some concerns lately regarding the enforcement that my office is doing regarding occupancy tax. So I wanted to come up and discuss the activity that we're doing, and just kind of give you a little bit of the background of the path that occupancy tax has taken. So I took office January 2018, and it was all new to everyone in the office. There had been no major enforcement activity prior to that. In May of 2018, I appointed an enforcement agent.
Well, who was that?
Russ Kenyon. He was currently a county employee at the time. We granted him access to all of our files. In June of that year, data processing gave him complete access to all records. In July of 18, I gave him permission to revamp all of our forms, applicate all of the applications, all of the return forms. In August of 18, I requested an update because I hadn't heard anything on enforcement activity, and was told nothing had occurred at that time. So 3 months, nothing had happened.
I think I offered assistance from my, somebody from my office as well for that. Yeah.
So that was in 18. As you know, when me taking office, I had a time of training myself, so I wasn't working on enforcement. My intent was to have an agent do perform those activities for me. Everything kind of fell by the wayside. Russ left county employment. I no longer had an enforcement agent. 19 began, and it's tax collection, so occupancy tax kind of sat to the side. We did not receive access to the software to monitor rentals until September 18th, 2019. That was when I was.
September 20,
I have the
but I don't
email.
think you could access it at that time.
So no, so on September 18th, 2019, I was sent an email directly from the Salesforce company, which is STR Helper, giving me my login information. I had a staff person that is, part of her position is to focus on occupancy tax. We attempted logging in multiple times. We could get in and then it would kick us out. We could get in and not see anything. We just struggled. There were a lot of bugs with the system. On October 11th, 2019, everything was resent to us and basically restarted our login information. It was at that point we could actually utilize the software. So that was October 11th, 2019. We started researching, updating our information. So what the software allowed us to do was enter parcel ID numbers, owner information, current certificate numbers that we had issued, so that we had a mechanism to see who was registered, who was not registered, and that gave us information to start enforcing. We started printing all of that, pulling that information. This is the enforcement binder. These are copies of every letter that's been sent out to who, their response is notated. We have a list, 165 letters were sent out for enforcement, and we haven't even had the software accessible to us for a year yet. So I understand people are concerned. I'm also working short staff. I've had a staff person out of the office since December. So we're not up to full staff right now. She's out on medical. So we have been working on this. In February, we had lost access to STR Helper. In February of this year, we started getting emails from a new company, Host Compliance. I had never heard of them. I reached out to Jeremy and Russ in IDA and asked them who Host Compliance was, because they kept telling me to log in, set up my login. Well, we don't do that in the county. We don't know what it is. So they said, yes, sorry, we never informed you. We forgot to let you know. This is the new STR company. Salesforce merged with Host Compliance. So in February, we got a new company, a new software, completely different from the previous one. And then COVID hit.
Well, you also had to put in all the data
So
again.
nothing is the same. This software is not as easily accessible and easily user-friendly as the previous one. So we struggled a little bit with the software.
Did they get bought out by the other company?
They did. They merged. The two companies merged, so the software changed. In May 4th, we received an email from Russ reminding us of a training the next day. We hadn't gotten the previous email to tell us that there was a training coming up. However, my staff person signed up for the training and took the training. It was a webinar. Was not easy to understand. She went through it all, was still confused, sent emails out asking questions, and they would reach out, they would get back to her, and that did not happen. Then we entered our tax amnesty program. So this all kind of sat to the wayside for a few months because we were busy, shorter staffed, trying to get through the tax season. So that's where we stand, but just to give you the background, in 15, 16, and 17, we had around 100 registrants. Those are the first 2.5 years of the program. In 18 and 19, with an enforcement agent, we only added 23. In 2020, we've already increased our registrants by 41 registrants, and that we're only in August.
And you're down to the hardest ones to get now.
At this point, it's not something, so I just want to explain the process. When you go into these websites, it's not something that you can click on it and there's the address, there's the owner's name. It's, here's the owner's name or a manager's name. So in that case, I don't even know who the owner is. This is approximately where the property is located. We then have to take it back to our tax map, the GIS, try to track down that site, or that property. Then we have to go into our system, our real property system, to try to find the owner's name. It's not something that you can do in 10 or 15 minutes.
Some of these might not even be in the county.
So, and that's the other thing. So part of the concern that was voiced to me was that we were not finding all of these properties. So I was given a list that VRBO, which is a vacation rental site, had 1,300
78 properties in Franklin County listed. We don't have that many short-term rentals. So my staff person and I have been researching VRBO and looking at these properties, and I'll just give you an example. The list is showing Constable has 60 short-term rentals.
How many?
60.
60 people living?
Well, I live in Constable, so. But regardless, so I looked up Constable. It is not Constable, it's Constableville. Constableville is in the Tug Hill region. That's a whole different area. That's the location that has 60 rentals. So that's Constable's out. That wasn't even the proper location. When you pull up Westville, what people have to understand when you're using these rental sites, they're giving you an area. So there's usually a sub-search that'll tell you, within 25-mile radius. So when I pulled up Westville, the 3 properties I found, one was located on Main Street by the bridge in Malone, but that shows up for Westville. It also shows up for Bangor, Duane, and Chateaugay.
So they
Also, if you search
They're
those,
duplicate. Yes.
So can they put, when the person signs up for VRBO, can they put in a district or an area that people, it will pop up in?
Well, it's like when you search for a hotel. If you want to go, you want to go stay in Plattsburgh for the night, and you pull up, I don't know, go to Priceline and pull up all the hotels. They're going to give you Plattsburgh. They're also going to give you Burlington. And it's just a generalized search area.
when you rent it on Airbnb, I always would look at the property and then I'd go right into an actual map to see where it's located.
So that's all I would request is when you're being told, there are 1,300 properties the county's not enforcing on, there aren't. There are a lot that are duplicated. There are a lot, like I'm saying, Kilburn Manor is one. Kilburn Manor shows up in 7 different towns.
So every
It's in the law.
Right, so there's one time set.
they advertise in a lot of different areas, so it shows up in all those areas.
So I just asked, we have all of this. The return information is confidential, as you can read in the law. The returns are to be kept secret by my office. So I can't give out the returns that are filed or the dollar amounts that are on those returns. However, the list of registrants is available. That is public record. It's just like anything else. We are actively working on this. It is not something that I have a full-time person to focus on. So when there's time, that is what she's doing. And like I said, you can see this. This is available. These are all the letters. Every time a letter comes back, if someone makes a phone call to us, she is making notations on here to tell us that. If this list I have of all the letters that we've sent out, we had some that we sent out, but they're only renting out lots, so we can't enforce with them. And there were, 10 or so of those. We have some that are deceased owners. So their family members, it's an estate, it's not being rented out, but it had been in the past, so it's still listed. We have some
There
people.
might be some that are for sale.
And they've sold. So what we're going to do is this is our next step. We are going to reach out to new owners and say, in the past, this property has been utilized as a rental, short-term rental. If you are continuing that process, please register with our office because a new owner may not be aware.
Are B&Bs included?
B&Bs are required to be registered, yes.
So
But they could be, we might have a registrant on Airbnb that's already registered, but they're also advertising on multiple these sites. So that one property could show up on 4 of these rental
And
sites.
Airbnb is in fact remitting payment. So if you're registered and renting through Airbnb, you are paying
Whether
occupancy
you like it
tax.
or not, it's in there.
And that's Airbnb does enforce that and they remit that to us. So we're just also trying to get those individuals registered with us so we know they are complying and we label them Airbnb. So we know that's who they're renting through. For example, and I'll just, what we've decided to do is we have an extra phone line in our office. It's in our conference room. Nobody utilizes it. It's there as an extra line. We, similar to the way the state handles sales tax, we would like to set up a tip line, a completely anonymous tip line. The reason being is in the past couple of weeks, we've gotten 2 notifications. We've been contacted by, one was an attorney. His client had a neighbor that was renting their property. So they wanted to notify us that, I don't believe they're registered. I haven't seen a certificate on their property. We did in fact enforce and they are now applying. They were confused. They thought the occupancy certificate from the town allowing them to occupy the property was the same thing. So they're now applying with us and they are going to remit the back due occupancy tax. We had another individual that was renting through VRBO and we sent a letter to her. And she has since remitted $7,500 in past due from 2016
Great.
to current. So people are responding, it's working. It's just not something that can happen overnight. And if anyone has questions, our information's available. We're more than happy to discuss what we're doing. Our records are here. I just didn't want it to continue being thought of that we're just sitting back and not collecting occupancy tax or not enforcing it. We are. It's just not something that can change overnight.
And if I see somebody that I don't think is charging the tax, I can call your office and find out if that person is, or.
register.
We can let you know if they're registered. The other difficulty is register their properties as a name. So you might want to name it, like I might name it Fran's B&B. Well, it doesn't necessarily, that's how it's registered with us. It depends on what the business name is. Some people register under a company name. So you may think it's this owner, you may think it's Fran Perry, but it's really under an LLC or something. So it takes us a lot of time to track those down. It's not something that's as easy as you telling me, Don Debut is renting out his house.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's under you. It could be under a business name. So it does just take us a little time, and that's all we're asking. But with this tip line, what it's going to be is it's going to be an anonymous line. The caller ID is going to be shut off on the line. It will be for people to be able to call in and let us know, hey, I think this property location is renting out. And we'll enforce that information. And we will keep a list of everyone that, has notified us and how our enforcement is occurring. It's not possible for me to find every property. It's just not. My office doesn't have time to scour the internet to look for those things. That's what we were hoping this software would help with. So like I said, I just wanted to reach out and make sure everyone knew what activity was being done, how we were handling everything.
Fran, I'd like to thank you in your office, because you're doing a great job with what you have to work with and your people you have to work with.
Yeah.
I think we're all in the same boat with you, with saying, doing as best you can, and I think we're all happy.
I thought it was important to have an understanding of the process.
There's just some people that out there that don't agree, but
Well, there's one.
I don't understand it either.
And we've gotten beyond those and we're moving forward.
I think we'll be fine.
Yes, the process is very involved.
It sounds like you're actively addressing anything that comes to your attention, so there's really not much more that you can do. You've got the software package to search this, you're setting up a hotline, you aggressively respond to any inquiry or, report.
And there might be other software out there, you probably could investigate that later on if you have time and.
Well, and at this point, the software we're using, like I said, my employee and I have actually been specifically searching VRBO recently. So we're not even necessarily using the software right now for VRBO because the software is not pulling in everything. So we are going to these sites. It's just, like I said, slow going. They don't give us specific locations. So we
Those are
are.
real broad categories too. I mean, their classification is Northern Adirondacks.
Yeah.
Or the St. Lawrence Seaway Valley. I mean, and you can look under the St. Lawrence Seaway Valley and see something in West.
You can see something in Huntington, Quebec.
Yeah.
And the other instance is you might have someone that's advertising on there and it breaks everyone down to a nightly rate. Anybody that's advertising, it's broken down to a nightly rate. It doesn't mean they're short-term rentals. It could be someone renting an efficiency apartment for 6 to 8 weeks. Well, in that instance, they do not have to file occupancy tax and collect. If it's over that limit, that time frame, it's not short-term anymore. So they could be advertising on there, and we've had a few that we've reached out to. And they've said, no, I'm sorry, we do longer term. Like they'll rent out their house for the entire summer to someone coming up. Well, that's not eligible for occupancy tax collection either. So there are a lot of different aspects to it. And like I said, I think it's just someone that's not working with it every day doesn't necessarily understand the process we're going through.
Right.
And, we've had instances where, like I said, of these 165 letters that are sent, we've issued 33 certificates on that. And then of that, we've had some that haven't even responded. So they're going to get a second notification that is basically slightly more firm. It says, we are aware that you are renting and you did not respond to our initial, and we do have the authority within the law to proceed with further legal action.
Yeah, I think COVID is, some people just aren't bothering to rent their places out right now because they don't want strangers in their homes right at this point.
And it's possible.
So we may lose some, but.
And we could, and if someone sells, like we've got a few that are sold, we've got a few that are no longer renting, we keep all of that information on record.
Great job. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure everyone understood what
Thank you,
process
Fran.
we're following.
We appreciate it.
No, I figured there's more to it than just the flick of the switch on the computer.
You know,
There's a lot of,
if it was that easy, nothing's that easy.
A lot of waste of time with all this information you get, that's
Well,
crazy.
You get information instead of researching all.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
And we do, and right now, like I said, I have one staff person that works on occupancy tax, and that's not her only duty. So it's finding time when I can get her away from the phones and tax payment and things where she can just sit and work on it. So that's where we're at right now.
Sounds good.
And we are up to 168 registrants,
That's really good, right?
so just so you're aware, those are registrants.
He said it, the link kept saying.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks again, Fran.
Thanks a lot for coming up, and we all have a better understanding now. And when somebody asks us a question, we can answer those questions, or we can direct it to you, and you can answer it.
Absolutely. And
Brad,
that's-
when are you gonna be identifying the hotline number, and are you gonna do a press release on that?
Yes, so, we've discussed this, I discussed it with Donna. We're planning on running an ad or some kind of a legal notice that this is our hotline number. We have to work with data processing to make sure we can shut off the caller ID access, those types of things, because we want to be able to offer people an anonymous tip line. I don't want people to think that, that's gonna be going out anywhere. So the line will be completely anonymous. You have to get with data processing, and we will be releasing that number once that's set up. And, like I said, it will be a voicemail, so it won't be someone actively answering the phone. Their ability to leave voicemails for us, and then every morning, the staff person will go in, listen to all of the reports if there are any, and we will begin researching. But I will release that number once we know for sure that we have it as anonymous.
I know you gotta do a press release to the county newspaper, so we might get some, information in the form of a story that people could read.
Yes.
Good.
Basically just reminding people that they are required to register with our office and collect.
Keep the information out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big help to everybody, I think, it's just knowing.
And a lot of people don't, they're not aware. We get a lot of out-of-state residents that own summer homes and rent them out, and they might not be aware, they might not have seen the ad in the paper.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're turn it down here.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Not yet. I just told him he could call in too, like he could call in.
Okay, so we got 15 minutes now, my unfinished business.
Yeah. So I see we didn't flip the page on the highway meeting to talk about the properties, the cinema and the court.
Oh, I didn't notice it, yeah. We need to definitely do something with the cinema right off, probably, yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's a safety hazard, I'm not sure.
So I didn't leave the meeting knowing, are we gonna, is Brad looking at the map up at the, on Route 11B?
I don't know if you ever give us an answer.
They work on it.
He said he was busy with regard to doing a survey, but I asked if he could at least look at the deed. So, when you do a survey, it's, very specific compass readings and points, which is maybe, it's the gold standard and it's great, but I think you can look at the deed and just measure out the distance with a, with a measuring tape or whatever. I'd like to at least get some posts set and some snow fencing around to make sure that there's, nobody goes on the property.
Well, here. We also, I need an appointment to the ethics board, it needs to be a Republican or no party. So if you know somebody that's ethical, and Republican or no party, I know it's hard to find an ethical Republican. There's gotta be
What do
something.
you think of, Andrea?
we'll have to find you somebody. I know we have
Or no party too, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's,
No
I mean,
official.
how many, meetings do they have to attend? That's
It's
the
very
problem.
rare.
Okay.
The only time they're activated, so to speak, is when there's an ethical issue. And then we
We
have a
haven't had one
meeting.
in well over a year.
I don't think we've
And a
had
lot of
one.
the times, people are afraid to join meetings because they don't know what the meeting schedules are gonna be.
Yeah.
No, there's no regular meetings. The only time that they're called upon is if we have an ethics issue.
Okay,
Then we present the inquiry to them along with our code of ethics and say, here are our code of ethics, here's the inquiry. We sit at a table, kind of have a round table discussion of it, then they come up with a recommendation.
okay.
So, I mean, we haven't met probably in about a year and a half, 2 years,
Oh, okay.
because there's been no inquiries.
Right.
But you can only have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, or 2 no official parties, so you can't have any more than 2 of any, I guess you could have more than 2 of no official party, but you can't have any more than 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans.
Okay.
So the one we need now is a Republican or a no official party.
We try to keep it fair where it be safe for everybody. So we'll take like a 5-minute break or something and then. Are you okay with that? You do have some stuff you want to go over to now?
I mean, no, well, let's check with buildings and grounds to see if we have anything. And then, Kip would have to put in a purchase request.
Okay. And I,
We took
put
care
in
of that. He was good.
of information, so they, I need to edit this. I need to follow back up with him. It's been 2 weeks now, and I'm
I
going
mean,
to
I
go
can
to
tell you
a
right
tax
now,
town meeting
it's a
tonight,
random
and they're it's local.
Yeah. Did Howard ever reach out to Kip?
He's a big boy.
Yeah, that's right. You'll know tonight.
Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Although Slater rolls on,
He's excused, he was here, but he's excused.
legislator Janicescu.
Here.
Legislator Jindal. Legislator Lockwood.
Excused.
Legislator Dubuque.
Here.
Legislator Marone.
Here,
Here. Yeah, prepare the minutes from the August 13th, 2020 meeting.
I get a motion in a second. Lindy, Andrea, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Okay, for correspondence, I have a letter from the New York State Homeland Security and Emergency Services stating that Franklin County was awarded $23,995 under the fiscal year of 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant. And then I have a letter from the New York State Department of Transportation informing that they recently processed a quarterly payment under the statewide mass transportation operating.
I get a motion to accept them. Greg and Lindy, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
So resolution number 168 is offered by the Public Safety Committee relating to authorization to accept fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, and appropriate funds emergency services.
Motion second, Lindy.
second,
All, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 169 is offered by the Public Safety Committee relating to authorization to accept fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG-S, and appropriate funds, emergency services.
Motion second, Lindy. Andrea, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 170, offered by Public Works and Services Committee relating to authorization to amend budget, Highway Department.
Motion and a second. Greg, Lindy, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolution number 171, offered by Human Resource Committee relating to authorization to establish charges public health services.
Motion is second. Andrea, Wendy, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 172, offered by Human Resource Committee relating to authorization to amend 2020 budget to appropriate funds for the COVID-19 pandemic public health services.
Motion is second. Andrea and Wendy, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 173, offered by Public Works and Services Committee relating to authorization to amend 2020 budget highway.
Motion is second. Wendy, Greg, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 174, offered by Public Safety Committee relating to authorization to pay stipend stop DWI.
The motion is second. Wendy and Andrea, any discussion? You just want to explain what that, I
Yeah,
know
so
what it
we
is,
had
but
our,
everybody knows.
security officers in the courthouse and at DSS. They were away 3 days this week for training purposes, the STO training. And so, district attorney was able to reallocate someone from his office up at DSS. We needed someone here at the courthouse. So this is additional hours for Craig Collette to provide that security during their off time.
How many days is that, Stan?
3 days.
3 days.
3.
days.
But I might need to do it if something came up.
Right, yeah.
It's very helpful because I
Yeah.
believe one of my sergeants at the village is doing the training for, the training grounds for, the hand.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
And once that, so we do have an SPO, at DSS that has all of that training when he worked as a, at the state. And so once he's completed this training, he also would be, could be able to be a training officer from what he's told me, Jimmy.
oh, good.
You did that all the time when you.
He did, that was part of, he's like, I am getting training from people I've trained.
And I know that,
It's a formality.
chief of police has been doing rounds, just checking in with everybody to make sure
Yeah.
that there's no extra need.
Yeah.
thank you.
I think the SPOs are working on it.
I think they're doing a great job down.
I thought they worked for motor vehicles all the time.
Yeah, they've done a
They've done
great
a
job
great job.
downstairs.
Great job.
You hear a lot of compliments, when
Positive
people are walking in the door.
All four.
Yeah.
Great.
So all in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 175, offered by Human Resource Committee relating to appointment to the Franklin County Youth Advisory Board.
Motion is second. Andrea? Greg? Any discussion?
I just want to comment on Caroline Lachaume. I'm a part of the Youth Bureau because it's one of my appointees as a legislator. And as one of the members, all of the members love this position that they hold. But Caroline and Jeannie Austin are probably two of the older members on this board and truly, truly love what they do for our youth and our communities. And they're constantly looking for, people to write for the grants and keep sharing the information. So Caroline for signing on for another 3-year term. This, I believe, will be her maybe 3rd term. Yeah, and we're always looking for people to join. And, once again, these boards are hard to get people to come to join. And she does it completely faithful and she will.
That's because they
Great
pay so much
advocate.
money for them, people that fight for
Yeah,
them.
she's always pushing the youth bureau, so thank you to Caroline for joining it again.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 176, offered by Public Works and Services Committee relating to authorization to piggyback on Warren County's bid WC 33-18 for road painting highway.
Motion is second. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution number 177, offered by Administrative Committee relating to authorization to accept grants and amend 2020 budget, Board of Elections.
Motion and second. All, Lindy, any discussion?
The 43,000 in the miscellaneous line, is that going, what is that for? What would it would be for
I'm not the person to ask.
staffing or?
I think it's for staffing.
It's a good question.
Well, some of it's for cybersecurity, right?
That's the second.
Oh, no, that's the second one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They just, and then
We can ask for a breakdown of that, though. I mean, it does make
It's
it
a lot
pretty
of money
broad.
for miscellaneous. so
I would like to understand what the I can't even pronounce
Yeah.
it. Miscellaneous line is, what it would go to towards that budget for that department.
Yeah, because you got printing, so
I
that's.
get,
about
I
it.
understand postage, UPS, office supplies, printing and others, so
The
just
only,
an understanding of
the only
that.
thing is maybe it's the extra voting days and, you know, the.
I think some of it is, I think some of it is for printing too, for the new type of envelopes that they're gonna need.
Well,
There's
that
a-
was on your print.
That's the 2,600 for printing and other.
Well, I'll shoot an email and copy you all in on it.
Okay.
Okay,
In this postage, I wonder, did they put in for, is that the postage cover all the postage they're gonna be doing this year, I wonder?
It's not covered.
I have no idea.
It's not covering it all because the new orders from the governor are going to cost us a lot more money when it's all, they have to have new envelopes. They have to have a form. Nobody really knows. I think actually meeting this morning, a teleconference call with Albany. But
But
it's
we'll probably get a
Maybe
check.
gonna cost us more money, I can tell you that.
We'll get a check for that probably, though.
Okay,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 178, offered by Economic Development Committee relating to recommendation of Franklin County Legislature concerning the 8-year review of the Franklin County Agricultural District.
Motion and second, Andrea. Greg,
Why not?
any discussion? I think we pretty well heard all the discussion on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 179, offered by Human Resource Committee relating to authorization for county manager to enter into an agreement with Adirondack Health Institute to provide health care services.
Motion and second. Andrea, Paul?
Second.
Any discussion?
It's just a formality that they need to help them, provide some services for, lower, income individuals, so it doesn't cost the county anything.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution number 180, offered by Public Safety Committee relating to authorization to enter into an agreement with the Brewster-Mariah Central School District for Special Patrol Officers, Franklin County Sheriff.
Need a motion and a second.
I'll do the motion with a comment.
Yeah, we'll give discussion. now.
Yep.
Second? I'm good. Any discussion?
So this is, there are 3 resolutions, each resolution for the different school districts so that they can have an ability to then go and talk to the SPOs and be able to set up the resources for their schools.
Yeah, and this isn't in there, but they talked about days, not hours, but days. Yeah, how many days, and that's in the contract, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think that they wanted some flexibility because one officer may work more than the other, so they didn't want to have it completely 50-50 and divided up by days. And so the approach I took when solution was to set the maximum hours total for both and then have the hourly rate, so it provides some ability to adjust.
Maximum days.
Dates, what I say, hours, dates.
We can't get it right.
Yeah.
So,
Don,
Paul.
Just one question, John, when you look at the contract, I mean, I know what it says in the resolution that they will pay for everything, but let's make sure that in that contract that the school district is responsible for everything.
Yeah, and I'll have John review it again after this meeting.
Yes, and,
I've added a couple of caveats to it, actually.
we added some items yesterday, and we had a conversation with the three superintendents yesterday and reaffirmed that we're just, what I call a pass-through of this, and that the expenses all lie with them, and they seem to be very accepting of that, so.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried.
Resolution number 181, offered by Public Safety Committee, relating to authorization to enter into a contract with the St. Regis Falls Central School District for special patrol officers, Franklin County Sheriff.
Lindy, second. Greg? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried.
Resolution number 182, offered by Public Safety Committee, relating to authorization to enter into an agreement with the Chattaday Central School District for special patrol officers, Franklin County Sheriff.
The motion is second. Lindy? Greg? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay? Motion carried.
Yeah.
The following resolution did not meet the time requirement, so it needs to be offered without objection. It's resolution number 183, offered by Public Safety Committee, relating to authorization to pay 2019 invoice from 2020 funds, Sheriff's Department.
Okay, motion is second. Lindy?
I did ask a question regarding this email, and I'm gonna vote no until the question's answered.
What was the question?
I asked Sherry yesterday, what exactly was this for with Johnson Control? And it states here, this invoice is for services from May 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2020, and had not been paid in the 2019 budget. So what was it for?
I believe it's for their security.
Oh,
system.
Blackstone does that, don't they, Donna?
Fire security. Sherry, I called Sherry too, and she has not returned my phone call yet.
So I think we should probably table this until we get.
Well, if you vote no, then it's tabled till next meeting then. Okay.
Just because I didn't know what it was for.
Yeah, well, it's good to find out. It's, but I imagine it's something to do with Blackstone.
It's typo.
Huh?
It's typo.
And it
And
didn't
so
meet
it didn't, the
requirements.
invoice didn't get paid in 19, correct? Let me see.
And then we owe another one again.
And then we owe the one for 20, and, yeah. So Andrea did send an email just saying, did we use them in 19, you know?
Is this just a service agreement? Is this,
Right.
if we don't have?
We're gonna be here next week,
Yeah.
so hopefully she
Yeah.
gets some information
Okay.
back by next week. So we'll table that until next week.
Usually the fire people and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, I think it's the
They
fire.
usually,
Maybe they do the fire extinguisher.
they do it, they work on that. I'm just saying that's what they used to do.
Yeah, I know it's for the fire alarm system. Yeah.
That's all we have. Everybody got anything else to come before the board?
Some positions.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Penny's got some, but, after the positions, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to talk about land claims.
Okay, I have a correction officer per diem position.
This is a backfill for a resignation.
Yes.
Okay, everybody's okay with that?
Yes.
Paul? Okay.
Then I have a paralegal specialist position. This is the second approval. This is for social services. They had came and I believe, in March, and we approved it. This is just a second approval because we didn't get, it wasn't filled within the 90-day frame due to COVID.
Okay, that's public safety.
No, DSS.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
DSS, oh.
Human Resources.
Michelle's department.
Yes.
Everybody okay with it? Anyhow, it's after committee, I think you're on my head.
Andre
We
and
need
Paul.
it, it's a
Andre and Paul.
Yes,
Okay, good.
And then I just have for the part-time cook position that was approved in April, it was not filled it was not filled yet, it's just in case you need, due to COVID. I just need to have the 90-day limit listed,
Extended.
so we can, just in case.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
all.
that's all we get, just in case somebody got COVID, who got COVID, they'd be able to replace it.
Yes.
Okay?
okay.
And now if I could get a motion to go into executive session?
So, what's call it, Lindy?
Huh?
I don't know who call it.
So,
So this is
all in favor,
regarding
say aye.
proposed pending litigation.
Can we know who caller number 3 is for the record?
Can we do?
Well, she knows already.